Welcome to Sharika Talks, Unraveling the Truth, a journalist's quest. Subscribe for the truth.
Chapter 5: The Stranger's Hand. At first, Sharika thought it was the filthy man, the beggar, who had tried to snatch her mother's chain, the only jewelry she ever wore, the only one she ever would. It was more than gold. It was a living memory, a piece of her mother, always with her. But she realized her mistake soon enough, and now she was standing face to face with the man who had just saved her life. A total stranger who had intercepted death just inches from her throat. The chaos that had unfolded before her was unlike anything she had seen. In her college days, she had witnessed fights, brawls, and had even undergone basic self-defense training as an NCC cadet. But this was different. Training in a controlled environment was one thing. This was survival. She stared at the man crouching in front of her, offering his left hand. His right one was bleeding, but he didn't seem to care. Sharika hesitated only for a moment before grasping his hand. His grip was firm, steady. He pulled her up effortlessly. "You okay?" he asked, his voice calm despite what had just happened. Sharika looked him over. He wasn't much taller than her, maybe a couple of inches at most. His clothes were torn, mud dried into cracks on the fabric like sand. A beggar? That's what she had thought earlier. But now, her eyes flicked to his feet. His shoes, expensive, though caked in dirt. Not a beggar. Not even close. Then who? Her gaze moved to the unconscious snatcher, then to Sachin's bleeding hand. Finally, her eyes landed on her chain, still hanging halfway out of the thief's pocket. Sachin followed her glance, reached down, and pulled out the chain. He held it out to her. "Here, I believe this is yours." Sharika took it, running her fingers over the broken link where the snatcher had yanked it from her neck. Her breath hitched. For a moment, she closed her eyes and took 2 deep breaths, forcing herself to steady. Sachin frowned. Was she about to faint? But when she opened her eyes again, they weren't filled with panic. They were sharp, steady. And then to his surprise, she asked, "The real question is, are you okay?" Sachin blinked. Most people in her position would still be shaking. Yet here she was, checking on him instead. Sharika knew her shift was noticeable. She had trained herself for this. Cry when you have time for it. Act when it matters. That had always been her mantra. Sachin glanced at his wound. The bleeding had mostly stopped. He shrugged. "I've had worse. I'll just clean this up and find an RPF officer. They'll handle him." He gestured toward the snatcher. He walked over to his bag near the thief's legs and flipped it open. It wasn't the bulky duffel bag she had expected. Instead, it was a sleek black laptop bag, worn but sturdy. Sharika watched as he unzipped a side pocket and pulled out a coil of rope, thin but strong. Rock climbing rope. It was worn in places, the frayed fibers hinting at past use. Sharika's curiosity flickered. Sachin grabbed the unconscious man's legs, hoisted them onto the berth, and started tying them to the window. "Wait," Sharika said. "Your hand, it's already taken a beating. Let me." Sachin hesitated. "I know how," she added. "Trust me." He stepped back, watching as she knelt beside the snatcher and worked quickly, her fingers looping the rope with practiced efficiency. It didn't take long before the man's legs were securely fastened. She wrapped another loop around his knees, then used the remaining rope to bind his hands to the opposite window. Sachin tested the knots. Impressive. Even if the snatcher woke up, there was no way he'd be getting free. Yet, anyone else could untie him in seconds. Smart. Sachin picked up the knife from the berth and handed it to her. "Just in case." Sharika took it without hesitation. "I'm going to clean up first, then I'll find the RPF," Sachin said. "Are you okay staying here alone? Or do you want to wait somewhere safer?" She shook her head. "I'll be fine. Go take care of your hand." Sachin raised an eyebrow. The same girl who was nearly killed minutes ago was now standing guard over her attacker. Interesting. Another drop of blood oozed from his wound. He sighed. "All right, I'll be back soon, but stay alert." As he turned toward the restroom near the compartment door, his mind raced. He had to act fast. The moment the authorities saw him looking like this, questions would follow. Questions he couldn't afford. But more than that, he exhaled through his nose, steadying himself. His fingers instinctively brushed against the weight inside his jeans pocket. Cold, heavy, a reminder. A Glock 25, fully loaded, 15 rounds in the magazine plus one in the chamber, a .380 ACP pistol, small enough to conceal, yet powerful enough to kill in a single shot to the right place. Near silent with the right suppressor, his fingers curled slightly around the grip. It was a comforting lie. Because if things went wrong, this wouldn't be enough to save him. Sachin turned on the faucet. Mud and blood swirled down the drain as he washed his hands, his mind sharpening again. The fear, the adrenaline, it was all part of the game now. He needed a drink, not for indulgence, but to steady his hands, to clear his thoughts. Sachin shut the tap, inhaled deeply, and looked at himself in the mirror. The night wasn't over. End of chapter 5.
Thank you for watching Unraveling the Truth, A Journalist's Quest. Subscribe to stay updated on Sharika's journey. Stay tuned for the next part.
Disclaimer. Unraveling the Truth, A Journalist's Quest is a work of fiction. The experiences, ideas, and theories presented by the characters, including the books they write, are purely fictional and do not reflect real-world events, beliefs, or ideologies. While some incidents and characters may be inspired by real-world scenarios, they are entirely fictionalized for storytelling purposes. The author does not endorse or share the viewpoints expressed by any character in this novel. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or real events is purely coincidental. Viewer discretion is advised.